Louisiana, located in the southern United States, is well known for its dense swamps and untamed wilderness. These rugged natural conditions make it one of the most ideal havens for wild boar hunting. But the complex terrain and humid climate mean that every hunt here isn't just about skill. It's a real test of patience and grit. Our destination this time was a licensed hunting ground in northern Louisiana. Once we arrived, we quickly spread out to our vantage points, eyes scanning every direction.
God.
Look, there, down below. This time, we let Alicia, the only woman in our group, take the shot. The boar dropped instantly. A clean takedown, marking our first successful hit of the day. A pre-built hunting blind allowed me to stay hidden from both the boar's sight and scent. Peering straight ahead, I spotted a small group of wild pigs. They weren't particularly large or numerous, but they were too distracted by the bait we'd set to notice any danger.
You smoked him.
Yes,
I fine-tuned my scope, lined up the shot, and locked on. Now is the time. One gentle pull of the trigger, bang. A clean, crisp gunshot echoed. One of the pigs took the bullet straight on. That meal they were so absorbed in turned out to be its last.
I shoot one. No, I don't want to hang. I'm going to shoot one. Why you?
While I was still scanning the area for more signs of movement, Baldrick, one of our veteran hunters, had spotted an entire sounder of wild boars, big and small, all jostling around for food. He focused on the two largest in the group, staying concealed behind a tall tree near his stand. Instead of firing immediately, Baldrick waited patiently, letting the pigs fully drop their guard. A loud shot rang out. This hunting zone was massive, so Lloyd opted to hop in the truck and explore the area for better opportunities. Up ahead, we spotted an automatic feeder, definitely a hot spot for boars. Lloyd stopped the vehicle, stepped out carefully, and moved in. As expected, the pigs had already arrived, lured in by the scent of bait. Finding the perfect angle, he held his breath, locked onto a target, and squeezed the trigger. Boom, a clean pinpoint shot. Another solid trophy added to the haul. As the sun dipped below the tree line, We were making our way back along a narrow trail when we suddenly spotted some familiar silhouettes. Whoa, there were so many of them. From young piglets to hefty adults, they were all grazing without a care. I picked out the biggest, strongest looking one for the shot. My heart was racing, but I stayed composed. When it stepped into my sight line, I pulled the trigger. Just like that, I was down. A rush of victory surged through me. Deep in the central part of the hunting zone, Jason had locked onto a lone boar slowly weaving its way through thick pine cover. It moved cautiously, pausing every few steps as if sensing danger in the air. Jason didn't let it get away. He raised his rifle and steadied his aim. Seconds passed in suspense. Boom! A powerful shot shattered the stillness. The boar, a massive 200-kilogram beast, dropped not far from where it stood. Take a look, its dark, bristled coat stood out like a shadow against the forest floor. Last week, an outbreak of African swine fever wiped out the entire livestock population across several of our farms, causing estimated losses of over $10,000. But the true root of the problem lay in the wild boar herds that carried the virus and slipped into our farming zones. We couldn't just sit back and watch everything fall apart. Farmers like us had no choice but to rise up and act immediately. Early in the morning, all the hunters in the area gathered at the edge of the forest, ready for the hunt. The four-legged warriors were just released and immediately began tracking. Within minutes, the dogs had found the boar's den and drove them out, forcing them to flee straight toward us. Our instincts kicked in. Everyone raised their weapons, eyes sharply focused, fingers ready on the triggers. As gunfire erupted, the prey scattered in a frenzy. It was like a scene straight out of an action movie. Just as we thought they had all run off, one wild boar suddenly charged furiously toward us. Caught in a hail of bullets, it was wounded, lost momentum, and skidded across the ground. And at this final stage, our dog stepped in to finish the job. The tall trees here served as the perfect cover for the wild boar movements, but it was hard for them to escape the noses of our sharp hounds. Under intense pursuit, a few boars suddenly burst out from the underbrush, followed closely by the rest of the herd. We had to open fire nonstop, each bullet slicing through the air. But not every boar went down easily. Some were strong, stubborn, and aggressive. I had to pull the trigger a third, even a fourth time before finally taking one down. Although we couldn't eliminate the entire herd, our results were proof of the team's tireless effort. While I was still frustrated about the ones that got away, out of nowhere, a shadow charged straight at me. Amid the chaos, the lead boar proved much more cunning. Instead of panicking like the others, it slipped quietly into the dense brush to escape. But we knew this animal's nature all too well. From a high vantage point, I aimed directly at its vital spot and pulled the trigger. Bang! The shot made it lose its footing, tumble down the slope, and fall silent shortly after. Once we identified the herd's path, we immediately formed a hunting formation, breaking into smaller groups to track them down. A strange rustle in the bushes put me on high alert. I raised my gun and scanned everything around me. There they were. One. A few wild boars, thinking they had escaped the earlier chaos, were still leisurely walking along the hillside. But that complacency turned out to be a fatal mistake. There was no room for hesitation at this point. Each precise shot rang out through the deep forest, and each boar fell with a steady squeeze of a seasoned hunter's trigger. Within minutes, the chase was on. The herd that had once brought disease and ruined crops was now completely neutralized. On our way back to the rendezvous point, my friend David suddenly spotted a familiar shadow among the trees below. We quickly predicted their direction and gave chase. Every step was calculated. One wrong move, and the boars would escape again. Right as the shadow lunged forward, I pulled the trigger, one shot straight to a weak spot. And then another, just to be sure, before moving closer. The chase was tense and breathless, but in the end, victory was ours.